Morning Update Monday. Paul Lindman and Scott Lynn noting it was 100 years ago Sunday evening that the Titanic sank with the loss of 1,500 lives, and apparently we can still learn lessons from that major disaster. Let's bring in our maritime expert on the Morning Update. He's Captain Kelly Sweeney, Master Mariner out of Seattle. I'd pipe you aboard if I had a bosun's whistle, but welcome anyway, Captain. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Paul. It's great being back with you and Scott and all the KEX listeners.
What would you tell us first about what we can learn from the Titanic?
Well, the Titanic, the bottom line is human error was the main cause of the disaster. Captain Smith made some bad decisions that put his vessel in danger and caused the problem. And human error, human beings still run cruise ships today, and human beings still make bad decisions, as we saw with the Costa Concordia, where the captain got too close and came in too fast to a known danger. Captain
Smith, what was his major bad decision?
I think it was coming. He was overconfident because he believed the designers and the owner of the vessel that the Titanic was impervious to a collision at ice, would not sink, and he believed that and came in too fast and way too close to known dangers, icebergs, and paid the price. He and 1,500 other people.
I have to ask you, Captain Sweeney, I saw a report from two Swedish researchers that just came out that when it comes to women and children first on sinking ships, that's a myth, that usually it's every man for himself. The guys are in a hurry to get off that boat. What does maritime law have to say about that?
Well, it's very interesting. When the passengers go onto a cruise vessel, all the listeners who take a cruise, they're assigned to a lifeboat or a life raft. And they, at this point, go to that boat, and that is their assigned place in an evacuation. So it's irrespective of men, women, or children. What it is what stateroom you're in and what level you're on and what lifeboat you go to. And that's one of the problems that I have today, to tell you the truth, because one of the reasons for the huge loss of life in the Titanic was the lack of lifeboats. And many cruise ships today, a lot of people don't know, are allowed to have even fewer lifeboats than the Titanic did. And how they do it, how they get away with that is they replace them, and the international regulations allow this, with life rafts, which to me is a bad move because life rafts are completely different than lifeboats and far different as far as getting off an evacuation.
As I understand it, there wasn't a requirement for a number of life rafts to match the number of passengers at the time of the Titanic. But isn't it true now, whether it's a full-on boat or a raft?
No. Well, yes, you have to have enough capacity with lifeboats and life rafts. But lifeboats are so much easier for the people to use. A lifeboat, and many of your listeners have probably seen the movie Lifeboat or have seen, the Love Boat with lifeboats. Lifeboats are rigid boats that people can walk into, sit down, and be lowered down to the water. A life raft is essentially a large covered air mattress that has to be thrown over the side and deployed and set up by the crew, and people can't just walk onto a life raft and go in there. They have to jump 20 or 30 feet down to the life raft, either on top of it or in the water, and then pull themselves up. And I mean, anytime anybody who's been on a cruise knows how many people on board there are older or perhaps have limited mobility. I think that the international regulations allowing that is basically a prelude to disaster, and is a death sentence for people on board if they have to evacuate into a life raft.
Big picture, since you mentioned it, the Costa Concordia and other cruise incidents, has it impacted the industry, and how concerned should cruisers be about the safety of these craft?
Well, it definitely has impacted. The bookings are down because people are wary. I think that when going to sea is an adventure. I mean, it's what I've done for my career all my life. But every adventure carries risk, and I think what people need to do before they go on a cruise is they need to do research as much as possible on the vessel that they go on. They need to read up about the company. They need to read up about the vessel that they plan to sail on, because any passenger ship built before 2010 does not have to comply with the more modern safety of life at sea, or what we call SOLAS regulations, and has far fewer safety features than new ships, like the Costa Allegra that had to be towed to the Seychelles a few weeks ago. Okay, that was an older cruise ship, and that would not happen with a vessel that had just been built. They would have to have a redundant propulsion system, and they would be able to get back into port.
Kelly, we need to end it there. Master Mariner Captain Kelly Sweeney out of Seattle, thank you so much for being with us again.
Paul, it's great being back with you and Scott, and smooth and safe sailing to you and all the listeners till we talk again, my friend.